This young troll stands in his respite block. It just so happens that today, the 22nd bilunar perigee of the third dark season's equinox, is the day of this indicated troll's larval awakening, also known as his wriggling day. A night that stands out in infamy among the rest of the litter, mainly just because of the fact that it really doesn't need to exist. Though it was 8 solo sweeps ago that he was given life, and also 8 sweeps ago that he was given a name, he decides to let you type an effortless insult into one of those plates that appears when you attempt to name someone. He can just sense that the tips of your nuts are perspiring with the anticipation of such an idea. You both know you can't deny the appeal of this offer. Go on and get it over with. Enter name. Hypocritical asshat. Yes, this is most certainly the greatest insult in the history of history. This guy congratulates you on how original you are for making an insult that is something even a wriggler's undeveloped think pan could easily conjure up in a matter of seconds. All right, this guy's allowing you one more chance not to ruin this, though he highly doubts the odds of said chances are in his favor. Try again. Little shit. What do you know? He was completely right. In fact, he was more than right. That was even worse than your original attempt. How is it even possible? Let's just move on to identifying his real name before you embarrass yourself any further. Your name is Arcjek Vurat. As was previously mentioned, it is your wriggling day. It's not really something you feel needs to be celebrated, and everyone knows that already. Nobody celebrates their wriggling day since it brings across too many shattered memories for anyone to bear most of the time. Despite that, you know there is always a remote possibility that someone could have the distasteful intention of bringing it up in conversation as if it is a good thing. That's not very common at all, but you still never know. Unlike most trolls your age, or even trolls of an earlier age, you don't have a large amount of hobbies. Not every troll can end up being some sort of prodigy. Not to mention the few things you are interested in aren't exactly considered productive means of time usage. You could even say you're quite lazy most of the time. In the past, you liked reading stories of mass vigilantes and watching copious amounts of 2D fiction. This used to lead to some scribbling, but you really aren't all that interested in doing these things anymore for unspecified reasons. You also enjoy drinking Mountain Dew Code Red quite frequently. In fact, you enjoy it so much you might be able to label it as an addiction. You don't take much part in talking to your 11 other friends, even though they take part in talking to you constantly in the new chat system, Scorp. Yeah, there really isn't that much more to say about you. Your troll tag is animated humorist, and while your screen name and quirk are sort of really awkward now, you've left it alone. It also manages to be hypocritical, considering the fact that you speak in a rather serious tone most of the time. Right now, you don't have anything you really need to be doing. You should probably start to do something, though. You're getting tired of just standing in the spot and blankly staring at the other side of the room. What will you do? Arcjek, pick up all this trash on your floor. If you're referring to all the cans of Code Red, then you would be completely mistaken about them being trash. If there were levels of how insanely wrong you are about the soda, you'd be on the highest level of wrong. You're wrong in every sense of the definition, of which there are many. You are wrong so many times. The ones laying down have been haphazardly tossed back as you finish them. The ones standing up are finished too, actually, but you have left a couple marinating there for a while near your desk in case of some sort of hurried caffeinated emergency. The balls of paper might be trash though. Maybe you'll pick them up when you feel like it. Maybe. Arcjek, look at posters. You used to think that these two were some of the biggest badasses who have ever lived. Batman and Deadpool were your two favorites back when you were younger. You haven't read any sort of issue from either one of their series in a very long time. About 2 sweeps ago, to be more specific. You always used to fantasize about how great it would be to have powers or a special array of technology as great as theirs. It really wasn't a well-planned aspiration. It could never happen, because this is real life. And that's not how things work in the real world, which harbors real life. Though while you gaze at their tightly suited splendor, you begin once again to wonder what things would be like if you somehow acquired the power to always miraculously live, even if you were brutally murdered, or even fly. But that's all in the past now. Why you still keep these up, you have no clue. Arcjek, stack up Code Red cans and plow through them like a skull titan. Not going to happen. You can't believe you even thought about that. Despite how fun it may actually end up being, you can't afford to be silly right now. Meandering around your block and looking at all of your old junk is obviously much more important than your own entertainment. Object, overdramatically turn and glare at the picture on your dartboard. You begin to slowly rotate your head to look at the appalling printed-out box on your dartboard. Where should you even begin with this abhorrent monstrosity that some would dare to call food? That's a large exaggeration away from the truth, a detestably enormous one, vast even. Usually food can at least be choked down, even if it's disgusting and slimy. Your species has an affinity for that sort of consistency in the first place. But if you tried to eat one of these Lunchables, mini burgers, or pizza and treats or whatevers, there would be vomit on the ground. It would be incomprehensible how much vomit there actually was on the ground. You would barf out every last organ you have lying inside you. You're getting tired of looking at that picture of it on the dartboard. It's not tired of looking at you, though. It never is. You're just going to have to show it who runs things around here. Nice shot! You have effectively shown it who runs things around here. It should know better than to try to challenge you, but you are aware that it'll always stay pinned there, staring at you, awaiting the next battle, prepared time and time again, certain of its defeat but triumphant and persistent enough that it thinks it'll get past you without so much as one more dart in its ugly mug. In a specific kind of way, you feel it always has some form of victory over you each time you two duel. A shallow, yet painful victory. It holds the pleasure of having already beaten you, but it is too modest to let you know. Not that you actually took the time to throw anything. That was all in your imagination. Arctic, look at the book on top of your thermal hole. It's really nothing worth looking at. There's no need to go back there. Something happened. And just what could that be? Whatever it is, it's totally almost turned off your inner monologue. Can you believe the nerve of some trolls out there? I mean, seriously, what is up with this society? They think they can just do whatever they... Okay, monologue restored. You can go investigate now. Archeck, investigate Plink. Archeck swings open his window, looking outside into the woods surrounding his house. In the distance, a black hooded figure stands behind a tree, gazing at him. However, as he tries to look more closely at the figure in the woods, it suddenly vanishes, without a trace. This discovery panics Archeck, and he slams the window shut. And after a very thorough and intricate peek at the scene, you've come to the conclusion that the Plink very much means death. Archeck, scream. And so he does. After which screaming, he proceeds to run around his room, screaming and flailing dramatically in a complete panic. Archeck, get up and hide under your desk. Archeck looks towards his desk, intending to do exactly that. However, Archeck, get interrupted from hiding. Oh, so close. Phase 1 was complete, screaming and running around anxiously, the only logical start to any brilliant plan. Phase 2, the final phase, was going to be hiding for several hours and pretending as if you were already dead. This is an act you can actually put on, but at this point it's not needed. You are feeling dead enough as it is without giving in to the whims of any zany, spur-of-the-moment ideas. Plus, it appears that one of your pesky chat-spotter buddies has been patiently lying in wait for a response you are elated to not have to give. There isn't anything stopping you from keeping silent, but as we've seen, things only get worse when nothing is happening. Given that your untimely demise is now suddenly imminent, you suppose it wouldn't hurt to have someone attempt to remember you fondly, could it? Even if it has to be this windbag. Examine computer. Before you answer, you take a short moment to move the junk off your desk, grab your keyboard, and examine your computer. You spend many lifeless hours sitting here and doing nothing. It's actually pretty great, until something happens, and then it isn't. Much like the rest of your spaces, you keep your random folders containing a lot of old pictures and files around wherever. You make sure to cover the screen so that you don't ever have to see them. This also doesn't help with the fact that, over sweeps of not caring to safely browse for objects, you have accumulated a number of nasty viruses. You get fake advertisements for products you didn't win on a nearly constant basis. The Scorp chat client is open. It's the new standard in conversation technology until the next thing comes. The entire system is laden with its fix of complicated strings, broken code walls, and a completely whack update schedule that doesn't seem to affect anything one way or the other. The draw is that, even for being clunky, it is rather customizable toward the user's intent. It allows variations on online status. Cloying, distraught, calcitrant, and incognizable are the 4 regular settings, but there is an array of more abnormal emotion-like settings, if you're really into sticking out from the already obtrusive crowd. Each Scorp user is also able to decorate the program with various alliterative themes. Each one relates to a number of varying colors, fonts, and hobbies, even ones that are obscure. Anything you would think wouldn't exist to be chosen, it's there. But seeing as you have none of these, you keep the built-in systematic stock theme. You are set on calcitrant at all times, and have the system set up that you aren't forced to hear the unruly din of a ping with each message. It also delivers a bluntly professional note to any and all parties who attempt contact with you. Though, as always, that doesn't deter this one from chatting it up with you, or any of the others for that matter. This is one of the better times to give in, as this will be your last chance at giving a good impression on the grounds of social interaction. Only, it won't be.